Hello and welcome to BB Uncovered, an 80-year odyssey. My name is Tosin Adefeko, but my friends call me Tosh. I'm the CEO of 83 Resources, the movement agency. By now you wonder, who is BB and why should I listen to this any further? Stay with me for a second. To the uninitiated, BB is a father, a husband, grandfather, leader, corporate titan, a philanthropist, and easily one of Africa's finest communications practitioners. He's a pioneer in the industry, unchallenged, if I might add, with a chain of firsts. With a career spanning over 60 years from broadcasting to public relations, advertising, he founded Inside Communications over 40 years ago and has since set up many other companies within and outside the marketing communications sphere that employ, by the way, over 20,000 people. This series is specially curated and powered by the Movement Studio in honor of this great man, Dr. Biodun Shobanjo, fondly known as BB, as he celebrates his 80 years around the sun. On this three-part series by the Movement Studio, we will uncover the man, BB, from the lens of those who know him best. You will hear tales of his humble beginnings. You will hear stories of how he became the Tsar of marketing. More importantly, you will hear stories of impact. The legacy of a man who cared so much about people that he dedicated his life to building people, one person after the other, including yours truly, if I might add. His favorite quote: "If you take care of people, they will do excellent work. If you do excellent work and do so consistently, fame and fortune will follow." Stay with us on the Movement Studio as we uncover BB, the man. BB, the global icon. BB, the legend. BB had the will to win. If he won in life, you can too. So let me tell you, this series promises to be life-changing as we have lined up marketing practitioners from all fields. But even if you're not in marketing, you will still enjoy the stories that will be told by our guests, who are all accomplished in their own right. If you subscribe now, of course, you'll be helping our channel grow, but we also promise you will not regret it. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Movement Studio. Thank you for listening.
What legacy has he built that inspired you?
People. People. You can say that Shobanjo has built people across, like I said, across generations, and he's built a tribe. When I mean a tribe that is of a particular kind, a tribe that, when I say tribe, I mean, you see, the mark of a leader is to be able to influence people across different demographics to a particular cause, in a particular way of work, or way of having your worldview regards with respect to business. The ethos that he has put forward has given a lot of people the shoulders to stand upon. Lots of people. I mean, that till today, they may no longer be in his business, but at one call, they will all stand and rise for him. The man is able to call the popular prayer that he call one person and 1,000 will stand. Not out of any coercion, but out of genuine love and genuine understanding of what the man has done, the impact he's had upon your life. And such is the man. So I think his greatest legacy is people.
I think his biggest legacy, to my mind, will be people. He built people. I must tell you, part of building is people. Number one, he brings the best out of them. As I said, strict person.
Yes.
He challenges them to be the best that they can be. You may say, oh, tough, strict, whatever you say, but it's always for your good.
Good.
Exactly. So it will make you the best you can be. So training, building competence into you, and all of that. That is number one. Another thing about the people aspect of him, that is one man who I can say delights in the welfare, in the prosperity
And even in
of
your
his
success.
proteges.
Yes.
And the success of that is just it. After him, I worked with some people
Yeah.
who saw workers as deacons,
Yes.
who saw workers or proteges as
Slaves.
slaves. You know, I'm a capitalist, you work for me. No, that's not
That's
BB.
not the point.
No, that's not BB. So BB is a man that delights in the prosperity
Yes.
of his people.
I can tell you for free, in the next decades, decades, we will still find insiders playing major role in this industry. He has built people. He has built a future for the industry. I don't want to mention the name,
Yes.
but there was a time we were having a discussion. Like I said, I've always been secretary to all the fathers. We were in a meeting, and they were saying that some people don't want to train their staff because if they train,
You'll be afraid
those
that
thi-
they will leave.
no, those staff will come back. He now
to
said,
challenge them.
look, he mentioned X, Y, Z, and said this person we sent him to Germany. He's an artist. We sent him to Germany.
I know
He
that
went. He came back. Few months, he went with another staff to go and set up
Set up a
another
company.
agency. This one, we sent him
That
out of the
story has
country.
been told on this podcast, by the way. So when we release it, you will hear
so,
it.
so this person, he sent it. He said, will I now ask them to sign bond? No.
No,
If I am not gaining it, the industry will.
I agree.
So if you look at it, that you can never take away. You can
So you would
never
say
take-
he's a magnanimous spirit.
and his leadership is unparalleled. In terms of, it takes a good man to say, I will train you. But even if you don't use it for me, you use it for the
For the
industry.
industry.
And those people are doing great now.
Yes.
So he has given birth to so many people, Shobanjos,
Yes.
that if you have to add Shobanjo to people's name in this industry, practically almost everybody will be
Yes,
telling
sir,
you. Even the
including me.
people that are not even Shobanjo will tell you, let us borrow the money.
Don't
Let us borrow
know
the
the
name.
name.
He has left a legacy
Yes.
of growing the industry. He is also part of the people that transformed the industry from where we were to where we are now.
Yeah, of course, the people are the legacy, but I think also his ideas that if we dare, we can make a difference. He never settles for half measures, and I think that's why he's been able to build all the things that we see around us. But of course, the people, you can count a whole lot of people who have gone through the Troika group, as it were, and people who also took that inspiration from him to say we're going to build something worth talking about. Me starting Noazak, it wasn't like a long-haired dream or vision on my part. It's not one day I'm going to start an agency. No, it was a list of my problems. But I think at a point in time, I was asking myself, his generation did all the things that we can point to. So what will my generation point to? So he was, in an indirect sense, it was an
Yes.
inspiration for doing that. And I told myself, if I was going to do it, my experience of MCNA, was just a different thing entirely. It didn't act like it was operating from Nigeria. It was a such and such agency, and it behaved like one, like anywhere else in the world. And I told myself that the experience I had there, I'll have to recreate that and top it if I'm going to start something. So that came from, the vision of BB and all that he did with that. Yeah.
Fantastic.
I think, he remade an industry. And maybe not just the advertising industry, but I must say the marketing communications and marketing industry.
Yes.
And in doing that, he not only recreated how people would see, services, he created, he actually, through his example, set higher order values for people around him who later became leaders in their own right.
Yes.
And they're all over the place. And most people will always, I think, I may be wrong, but I don't think I am.
Yes.
I think somewhere at the back of their mind, the question would always be there: what will Dr. Shobanjo say?
Do. What will Dr. Shobanjo say?
Yes.
What will Dr. Shobanjo do?
So there's always that, and he's actually set the very high standards for everybody. That's the way I see it.
Yes, sir.
And I always tell people that, look, the greatest legacy is one in which you affect people. It's just about people. So if you actually get people to start acting right.
Now, if you BB, when I see BB, I see the balance sheet, and every balance sheet has two sides. It has the competence page, and the right hand side it has eulogy. So the competence page has qualification, it has capabilities, competence, technique, skill sets, so on and so forth. The right hand side has eulogy, and one word in that eulogy is integrity, character. So most people are very strong on the left hand side of the balance sheet
And then fall short.
on this. So BB has both, and that is why he is what he is, because he has very strong principles, character. And when I talk about character, it's not good or bad. I don't describe people as good or bad people, but what I look out for is consistency.
Wow. Am I the only one going through a spiritual moment? Continue.
Yeah, so he has that consistency. So that is the balance sheet. And you know what? If you fold that balance sheet and keep it away, you now ask, when you make interaction with people, you ask, can you describe the BB's balance sheet? You can easily describe and embrace it because he has a large dose of goodwill on his balance sheet. Wow. And if he converts that goodwill, 10% of it, then generations after him will still benefit. And they're still benefiting today. A lot of people open the doors by just saying, I know Biodun Shobanjo. And the door will be open. But the question is, when that door is opened, can you deliver to the standards expected of your Biodun Shobanjo brand? That's where people struggle. Because he has created, when I mean create, not like God, but he has like cloned a lot of people in the last 40 years. People have tried to emulate him. People have tried to do the things. But how many people have been successful? How many people are 10% of what Biodun Shobanjo is? Because it's a difficult task to follow. Because that balance sheet requires way balancing. It's difficult to manage it.
I think his title as father of advertising already establishes, first of all, and I think that's such a treasure, when they call you father of modern America, father of internet, father of telecommunication, when we call him father of advertising,
the Tsar
of marketing, it's not a small title. And I think that in many years to come, our job is to ensure that we tell that story, that younger people in advertising and marketing know that before they were born, there was a man who broke the rules, who built the rules, who charted paths that hadn't been followed, who cleared the path. When they see a trailblazer, you have to visualize it. I've been visualizing it a lot. People never think about what it means. Being a trailblazer is that I go into a forest. There'll be my ideas and my experts. I begin to fail and clear a path and clear a path.
That is powerful.
Yeah. And I clear a path and I get to maybe 52 miles. What that means is that I've created 52 miles of walkway, 52 miles of runway that never existed. That people who've come in behind me can walk. Now, some people will stop at 30 miles and be okay. Some will do 25, some will do 40, some will do 42. And then maybe one or two will say, okay, maybe I will a day. But you know what? I see something. The only way that person who can move from 52 to 60 or 70 was because of the work he did that got to 52. I would always remember him first as a national treasure who is, the star of marketing. But then I would also remember him, as a father, who gifted me his wisdom, and who gifted our business models that we followed to run a successful business, who gifted us courage that we ran with to go into rooms and chase accounts and do things that people thought were above us. So
If he could do it, I can do it too.
yes.
I think BB is the ultimate catalyst. Like, who else could have propelled an entire industry into reckoning like BB? If you go and check almost all CEOs of big advertising companies in Nigeria have all, come through here. I'm not like my own level of CEO. We were still upcoming, but I'm talking about even the big CEOs. All of them have a story to tell. All of them have a BB story to tell. It's what else could the word catalyst represent beyond what you have created in other people? That legacy is so strong because it goes beyond what he's created within the group, which is all the multiple companies and the successes that the companies are all known for. It then goes to what other people have created in their own spaces, using their own influence, using what they've learned from him. What more do you need me to add beyond the people that he dropped the ladder to also climb up?
Absolutely.
So as we're all going through our leadership journeys, I think we should all think about it. Who are we grooming? What are we saying to them? How are we building the next generation? To me, it's such a fundamental part of our lives that we cannot afford to ignore it. So without what he had done, what he's still doing, perhaps, I don't think some of us would even exist.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Anytime I think about him or see him and all that, one of the things that comes to my mind is he wasn't afraid about daring, especially daring to be different.
Yes.
I don't think he even ever thought of failure or not succeeding. He just wanted to be different, and he wanted to be different positively. And for those who know him, he would put everything in it. Every piece of business he set up was set up well. He actually started the process of recruiting a caliber of people, especially from the client end. He brought in people like Osai Mokwae, who was a senior brand manager in Unilever. He brought in quite a few people. He brought in people who, in his opinion, were better than him. And that's the only way you can grow an organization.
Yes.
If you bring in people who are better than you, then they can do the things you have not been able to do. So the strategy has always worked for him. People, quite. He always endeavored to build a good, strong team, give them an idea of what he wanted, offered leadership, and he would, people
Fantastic.
like Victor, the late Victor Johnson, and quite a few others.
For me, the way I define legacy is this.
Yeah.
Legacy is an aggregate of your convictions and the achievement your convictions can get you. So once you have internal conviction, it will lead you to doing things. You'll get achievements, you get failures. That becomes the sum total of your legacy. Internal conviction first, then the expressions. What it brings to you, whether good or bad, is legacy. But the most important legacy that even creates the conviction that brings us those good or bad that becomes legacy is what? Is love. If BB never loved to advance the cause of humanity, he wouldn't do the things he did. If he never loved his own family, he wouldn't be a great family man. If he would never loved his own partner, he wouldn't forge a good company. If he would never loved Nigeria, he wouldn't make an investment here. So I think Bibi's greatest legacy is his capacity to love, which is undying, which is more than, because see, if his legacy was, oh, he made money, he built advert agency, all of that could go in a heartbeat.
Exactly.
But it's the capacity that he loved doing all those things. That's why he kept on going, even when the days were bad. That's what I was talking about, passion.
Yeah.
That's what I was talking about. Conviction is that energy that you give. I mean, boldness is that energy that you give to your conviction, because once you convince yourself internally. So I think for me, his greatest legacy is his capacity to be able to love, one, his society, love to follow his dreams, love to follow his family, and most importantly, his love to humanity and to his God. In the end, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
Every other thing is secondary. You know, like there was this old gospel song back in the days I used to hear and worry. They say, seek first the kingdom of God, and his righteousness, the rest, Najara. That's the essence of our lives, to seek first the kingdom of God, the righteousness. The rest
Is extra.
is extra. So the first thing he sought was love. And it's the love that cascaded into business. And it's the love that cascaded into the integrity at which he did things. It's the love that cascaded how he treated his family. It's the love that cascaded how he treated his grandchildren. Because the cornerstone is everything. And that's why you see a man that has a loveless life is a dying man. Once a man has no love in his life, he starts to die.
He has built leaders. And so there are so many names you hear in the industry. You hear they worked with him. They came from him.
Yes.
So I would say he's a leader
Of
leaders.
leaders. I love it.
And that's what I also look up to, because yes, your work might be great. Yes, you might be killing it at some point, but who are the people you're building? And he's built a very strong community in the professional space that whatever they even do, if you look back at their work, you're inspired by even their work as well. I mean, look at you.
Hey.
Baby product. So yes, he's a leader of leaders. He stands for excellence and has built fantastic brands that would outlive him. I don't know if that's correct.
The first that I would like to say is that he's a builder of men. You know, he's built men in this industry. Most of the leading lights in this industry have had one or two encounters with this great man that we're talking about. So he has been able to pass down the torch in terms of the values that has helped him to the point that God has helped him to get to currently. He's been able to pass it down to a couple of second and third generation marketing and communication practitioners, advertising practitioners, you know. So that is one key thing that I can say, you know, about him, you know, because you have interactions with most of them every other day. These are people who want to model a lot of things that they do now after what this man has done decades ago, you know, and some of those values that he lives by every day are the things that a lot of them want to live by, you know, even now. So talking about his impact, he has been able to build men in this industry with a lot of values that a lot of them still live by till today.
That's a very good question to say, and legacy is a very difficult one. I'm writing a book now on a Nigerian nationalist, and one of the things I'm looking at is also the question of legacy. Legacy will depend on what happens after he goes, but I hope that his example, the fact of his own example, would be the legacy that people are going to look back and see what Biodun Shobanjo did and see what he achieved. What happens to that achievement after he's gone is for us to worry about, those of us, you know, those who stay after him. But he has shown that it can be done. Young people can today say to themselves, you know something, I can do it.
Yes.
If Biodun Shobanjo from nowhere at age, he was young, but how old is that?
That's something, yes.
If Biodun could do it at that time, why not? We can do it. And I'm seeing some young men today in startup outfits who are probably saying to themselves, without our knowing it,
yes,
are saying to themselves, look, you know, How many years ago Mr. Shobanjo did it? And he didn't. Look at him. He's 80 years old now. Look at it. So if he did it, we can do it. So that's why I say the issue of legacy is not something you can pinpoint completely. You can assume that his example alone. I'm writing a book on our law now.
Yes.
And I'm saying to myself, there's a final chapter of the book entitled The Example of Our Law.
Yes.
That's his biggest legacy. So, all right.
His example.
His example.
Wow.
The example
That's
of Biodun Shobanjo would be, for me, his finest legacy. And I have no doubt that that would come to play. People are going to keep. There's a book on him. I'm hoping that there will be. And as I predicted in my foreword to that book, there will be studies that will be carried out in business schools in this country.
Yes.
On how it happened. How did it happen that this man did this? And it will be there. That book will be an important source material. But there will be other studies. I'm sure that there are doctoral thesis people are going to come and see him and say, how did you do it? How? Let us know. So people are going to write about him. He'll be studied. And that's the biggest legacy.
I think he truly is the godfather of advertising.
I love it. That's a good.
I think he is truly the godfather of
Mm.
advertising because there's no how you want to talk about advertising in Nigeria and mention the greats that his name would not be mentioned. And in the campaigns that he's developed and the sheer value that his group has brought to the industry. I mean, just the same way you start with one company and then you start building the subsidiaries into the same, ecosystem is just mind-blowing. So I think he has actually opened the pathway for a lot of other, companies or companies to form as a group also in their own in their own right. So I think he has had a lot of impact. It's just mind-blowing that when you talk to people like the Gen Zs of this world now and they don't even know who
Dr.
Biodun Shobanjo is.
They will know by the time we finish
I'm
telling this.
like, you are missing.
They must
I
know.
always tell them that you're missing. And,
Yes.
even it's not even just to the young, even to the old, because I
Yes.
know how highly my boss, Steve, also
Yes.
thinks of him.
Of course.
And every other person that has,
Encountered
him.
Yes.
So I
Legacy.
mean, legacy. First of all, I think this would be a very good platform to say this. Thank you, Chairman, for writing your book.
Yes.
Yes. I mean, we've had greats in this country.
The will
and-
to win.
The
Yeah.
will to win, exactly. Because I read that book and I think I've gifted up to like 10 copies.
Oh,
So
yes.
anybody that tells me I want to do advertising, go and read that book first. So thank you for writing that book because you have given the next generation something they can refer to. And some of the stories that I didn't even know about, I've read it. I'm like, okay, so this is what happened. Yeah. But in terms of legacy, like I would say, I remember when I decided that if it's not inside, I'm not working for anybody to start with, was I listed out 10 top advertising agencies at the time, and all of them had distributed inside.
That means they
passed through the system, yes. And I'm like, who created this? As in, it's just it's just amazing to see that everybody that passed through that system, and for you to replicate, that means that it's solid. Nobody can question that kind of material. So for me, he has done that for this industry. The fact that we are still here is because somebody built it, and we are still eating from it.
Yes.
So yeah, well done, sir.
Program you run there, mentoring program. Yeah, can you just share?
So there was the one that's been running on for most 3 decades or over 3 decades now, which is the management traineeship.
Yeah.
That has helped a lot of people because not just people that have worked in, because at the end of the day, people always graduate in life. So people move from one level to the other. So those things, they take it with them. When you come into a mentorship program for a 12-month mentorship program, where you learn from the best in the industry, and then you move on to the world, you become like a beacon of that thing. You carry those things with you. But more interestingly is the one that was now inaugurated, I think a few years ago, called XPAD, which is like the executive program of advertising, which is run through the School of Media and Communications, Pan Atlantic University.
Yeah.
People from across
excellence over and above anything else. And for him, it is not
it has nothing to do with money, the way people think of money. If it had been money, he could have taken Troika into to the stock exchange and do public offer and all of that. But he did not travel via that route. Instead, he said he wanted to build for the future. And that is why you have Insight or the Troika Group. And now, what do they call the name of the group now? Yeah. That group is sustaining the name long into the future. Insight Redefining. Is taking that name way beyond how he started. I'm sure if you ask him if he thought he would get this far when he started the group in 1980, he'll probably have told you that, yes, he believes that he will get it far. But how far? It's been qualitatively far. And I think the industry recognizes that. And the globe, not just in Nigeria, across the globe, because he has the name before.
He'll be remembered for being an innovative person.
Okay.
You see, because even back in the days, don't forget that this Dr. Shobanjo was ahead of his time by miles.
Yeah.
To be honest, when it was still all of the whole marketing communication departments under one roof, he was the one that started making the move
into different companies.
Yes. So he pioneered that here in Nigeria, and you see, it still subsists till today. You know, he's the one that also was bold enough to say, okay, look, beyond all of the marketing communication mix, can we also spread our tentacles to other areas of other industry, and then went into security.
That's true.
Stemming from a personal story that made him go into that. That's a story for another day. But he did that, and Halogen.
The MD of Halogen already told us the story when he was here.
Absolutely, it's still by far one of the most successful security companies in Nigeria.
He has taught us that you must support whatever is good, and you must respect the profession that has made you what you are. You know, because he honestly has so many other more successful businesses, yet he never left the advertising and marketing communications business. And he supports, I mean, everybody knows if he shows up at an event that is to do with marketing and advertising, he adds clout, he adds experience. You can't, I mean, he alone can compensate for 20 people not being at that function in terms of leadership. You get my, you know, there's some places you can go to that. They can have 5 chief executives, but if they don't have any good standing, you know, this, whether you like it or not, marketing is also about positioning. So sometimes if you're going for a function and they see that all of you are there and all your organs are also at the function, and it gives that industry its clout, it gives it the position it deserves, and it maintains that. So I think in terms of legacy, he has taught us that no matter what, we must support ourselves. I think that is, for me, a lesson I've taken. And that is why I didn't even think twice to take part in this kind of program, because apart from Tosin and I coming from different perspectives, yes, in terms of so-called whether it's age or not, that's secondary. But you've met yourselves, and women, you must support yourselves. Even the same way you have all the leaders supporting yourself. So for me, he doesn't take anything out of it. And at this stage of life, it's about giving back. That's what I've come to realize with Shobi. He's still giving back. He does anything to support what he thinks is a good cause. And I think, I even saw the other day, even the Parkinson's, you know, I mean, I was amazed. I said to myself, I now saw another tragedy. I said, I thought, you know, I was even, you know, what I mean by that is that when you just think that you have done enough support, you don't realize that you haven't even started, you know, because this is a man that is getting to his 80s and he's still very, 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 he's still moving. Let's put it that way. So I think the lesson is that as long as we are living and we can add value, let us add value.
Because rather than put everybody under the same roof, doing the same thing, one day it will explode. And Biodun saw that coming. And so he set up the holding company and then diversified. So a number of subsidiaries, you know, in PR, in advertising, in activations and all that, you know. So
Biodun probably ended up with about 4 or 5 subsidiaries. Okay, so he now left the day-to-day management and went at the top.
Yes, chairman.
As chairman. And the box ended up on his table. A lot of other agencies followed that track.
Okay.
Of setting up, okay, when it's time to set up media independent, media independent came, we all followed suit. Okay? I mean, at some point, Biodun's troika was such that in terms of employment, Biodun employed the highest number of advertising and marketing people in the troika group. And I think it's still the same up to today. So there's so much that we got to thank Biodun for as far as developing and growing, the marketing advertising industry in Nigeria. And
the
we're
industry
very proud of him.
Yes, sir.
We talk about legacy. You see a man who has impacted not just his organization, but the industry broadly. He has impacted a set of people who have learned from him and have gone to also make their own contributions. So, in fact, his contributions have been amplified by the performance and successes of his proteges. I mean, unless one is being selfish or being dishonest, there's no way that anyone who had spent decent time in Insight will not confess that what he or she has become have been greatly influenced by that experience in Insight. And it starts with the man's work ethic. Early to arrive, I want to be last to leave. If you come to SNU, my guys will tell you that GMD is usually one of the first to arrive and
the last to leave.
From there. When I set on the job, I am hands-on. Everyone says, Biodun Shobanjo is hands-on. I said earlier on, he won't set you up on a task and leave you to struggle. His eyes are on the ball. When it comes to relationship skills, we could see that. But what even helps relationship skills is the man's sense of personal branding, his sense of style. I tell people in advertising that when you're talking about building brands, the number one brand you need to build is your own brand. And you'll agree with me.
Yes.
That Mr. Shobanjo is a powerful brand.
Yes, sir.
Even us as experiential, I will kuku attribute it to them. Why? Because when it all started, it's all so that we could all come under the governance of Arcon, so to say. And Arcon were all by them too. Why? Because advertisers needed a voice, so to say. We needed, as practitioners, we needed to have some form of a council that would bring all of us together and that would present our issues. So at the end of it, it still goes back to that legacy, because that's his legacy. When you're talking about the media, everybody is going into media buying, and who are the people that actually stood and said that we're going to have media buying outfits? The first media buying agency that pulled out was from them, if I remember correctly, from agency. I think it was from the Troika group. So now everybody's having media buying agencies. It happened first, I think, within the Troika group.
I would say about his legacy is that he gave us the wings to fly as early as accounts
possible.
executives, because we were not micromanaged. Everything you did, you knew it was autonomous.
Yes.
You knew that Foluke Ayuba is going to take responsibility for this. If it's your account, if you don't get the invoice, if you don't get paid,
Take
it's
full
all
responsibility.
you.
Fantastic.
And at the end of the day, if the man says you're not going to get paid, well, hey, Foluke, you didn't do the job.
Exactly.
So he was fair. He was very, very fair.
think
And
that's a word that
everything
describes
was
him.
about
He was
merit.
fair.
Very
He
everything
was
was
very
about
fair. It was very fair. You had to earn your
Your
seat
your
at that
place,
table.
yes.
And what I experienced was that it was like swimming. When you start swimming, maybe you start at the shallow end. At Insight, you were thrown into the deep end.
That's
from day
right.
one.
Sink or
So
swim.
And
exactly.
most times you
Sink or
did.
swim.
You snooze, you lose.
You lose.
Yes,
Exactly.
most times
So
Yes.
you know. So,
A word.
but then, like
Yes.
she said, you have the support and the backing of everyone
Yes.
to do your job. So you didn't feel like you were left alone.
I get
as
you.
much as although you were thrown in the deep end,
Yes.
but you still, you wouldn't know it at that time because you were struggling to swim.
Yeah.
But then they have your back. They're watching.
Totally got you.
And they're giving you all the support.
You want to add a word, Madam, yesterday on his ultimate legacy? What would he be remembered for? In your words.
Caring.
Mm.
Caring in the sense that even though you were an advertising executive, he still wanted to build you up.
Mm.
Remember the Friday lectures?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
We had Friday
knowledge sharing.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
yes. We had Friday lectures. And you had to be there. You had to work your timetable around whereby it was free.
Regardless of your client work.
Regardless of your level, you all had to be there. And it was interactive, we were blessed. We had so many good teachers. We had Mr. Shobanjo, we had ballet, and they would bring clients in, so we had a total picture of the industry, of marketing communications, I believe, I dare to say that they were one of the first people to expand from just general advertising. They gave us a bigger wheel. And that was Mr. Shobanjo. He actually wanted to build you up, not just for his own sake or inside, but for your own personal, your own personal build up and the industry. That's why I call him the glass ceiling breaker.
Like great visionary leaders, like I said, he's mentored so many people beyond the marketing, communications, and the creative sphere. And when you talk about influence, when a man really has influence, is when you can go beyond your immediate spheres. And I can tell you, way in areas maybe up to television, up to building construction, up to whatever type. And when you now go looking at things like the security business and things like that, I'm sure that his influence and his mentorship has gone, into all of those kinds of things. He's a guy who has brought in a lot of innovation into the industry and into everything that he has gone into. He's been a great trailblazer. He's a builder of institutions and men.
His legacies it's already impacting on the industry, even as we speak, because an average Nigerian advertising person wants to be like BB. Of course. They want to see if they can match up to the standard he has set up. They can only, we pray, we see who will come and beat his record. It's very challenging to say, because the institutions, the establishments that he has bequeathed to the industry, they remain iconoclast. Yeah, they remain iconoclast. They remain pace setters. Absolutely. They remain front players. So you can only try. If it is not Panadol, it will never be Panadol. Maybe it's a class on his own.
Biodun would be remembered for me, for his hard work and for his mentoring persona. I mean, look at those guys who worked with him, many of them. They actually listened and followed his paths. And today, when you talk about advertising in this market, there are so many people who would trace their rise to Biodun Shobanjo.
Absolutely.
So I think his legacy of hard work, mentorship, and friendliness. Biodun, he can be tough on the job, but I think he is when you look underneath, he's very friendly. 1, 2, he is a community-oriented guy.
Just in a few words, share what you think will be his ultimate legacy.
The training he has impacted on his children.
Okay.
And if he sits back and watch the way his children, or what he has left behind, the office, the job, the work,
the institution
he has
built,
and he sees it's still striving at this age, I think it's a good legacy.
He's
fantastic. Happy with his children, and I think the most important one is his children. Because if you build everything you have to build, and your children aren't doing well, I don't think you built any legacy.
The biggest legacy for me is what he has taught us and what the relationship is with each other.
To stick together.
Correct.
Fantastic. Femi, do you want to take that same question?
Well, I think they've kind of
Said
answered
it
it.
all.
I think
Exactly.
what Bimala said about just that name.
Yes.
I think the best thing you can leave for your children is
It's
just
a good
leave
name. A good
and
name.
I think that, like
That's
you said,
powerful.
it opens doors.
Mm.
So I'm in the capital market, as you know, which is a different
Yes.
sector. But once people hear that name or they see the
Still.
name, say which Shobanjo is this?
Even in another industry.
Some
Wow.
might not really know him close. Is it the marketing guy, the advertising guy?
Yes.
Okay. It's a different response that
Wow.
you've gotten. You've already, there's a connection there.
That sense of family. It's so weird that I think it was even my wife discussing it with me one time. It's
Yeah.
like, people are weird. I was like,
Like, you're so close.
It's like, it's not like you don't even fight.
Oh my God. But it's true because some families are structured in a different way.
Yeah.
So,
I hear her arguing with her sisters, and you see it
Oh
in
my
other
God.
families that you go to. It's like, for you people, in all my life of being married, to people have never fought.
amazing. And you guys have been married for how long?
About 12 years.
Look at that. In 12 years. I think.
No.
I mean,
I don't fight with my wife.
No. I got that. I'm saying in 12 years she's been married to you.
Yeah.
She's never seen you guys fight.
Yes.
Don't worry, I totally got it.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's an amazing story.
That's weird. It sounds weird, but when you actually sit down
Yes.
and think about
it, it's not weird
and
at
we
all.
see each other almost every Sunday.
Yeah.
There's no one fight or argument.
So you
or
feel
anything
like definitely it's the way that you guys were, brought up to
Absolutely.
the harmony.
Absolutely.
That's amazing. And a very good way to end this, actually.
Thank you.